1986, two of Marvel's greatest superhero teams clashed in the pages of the Fantastic Four vs. the X-Men limited series. That, however, wasn't the first time that they had gone toe-to-toe. The first time was back in 1964, in issue 28 of the Fantastic Four. This isn't that. I can't afford that issue. Instead, I'm using the reprint from issue 20 of Marvel Collector's Item Classics from 1969, which, by the way, still wasn't cheap. This story is brought to you by the Masters, Stan Lee writing and Jack King Kirby with his pencil. We have a snapshot of life in the Baxter Building as Alicia Masters unveils her statue of the Thing and the rest of the team read up on the X-Men, a new team of heroes who have quickly become famous. Johnny reminds them that he actually teamed up with Iceman once to defeat the Barracuda. That happened in issue 128 of Strange Tales. Then Ben puts his foot in it by mentioning Alicia's evil stepfather, the Puppet Master. Soon after which we see the man himself, who has been summoned to the lair of the Mad Thinker. The Thinker says that if they team up, he promises they will succeed in defeating the Fantastic Four. The Mad Thinker says he's been studying all he can to find out about the X-Men's mysterious leader. And yes, Professor X was a mysterious figure to the wider public at this point, and would continue to run his school for gifted youngsters in secret for many years. The Puppet Master fashions a model of the Professor out of his special radioactive clay. It's the 60s, radioactivity is behind everything. And begins to exert his control on the man himself. Professor X's mind is no pushover, but the Mad Thinker has worked out exactly how much clay the Puppet Master needs, and soon he has control of the Professor. Now it is simply a task of ordering his X-Men, featuring Iceman in his Frosty the Snowman period, to attack and destroy the Fantastic Four. He justifies this by telling them that he has read the minds of Marvel's first family and has discovered that they plan world domination. That's enough for his team, and they are soon on their way to the Baxter Building. The FF, having no reason to suspect an attack from their fellow superheroes, allow them to land their copter, and the two teams soon have their historic first meeting. Of course, it's a reunion for Johnny Storm and Iceman, and the two female team members swap compliments on how pretty they are. It's the 60s after all. What else are women interested in? Silly? The 1986 clash between these two teams didn't really feature much fighting, just a couple of skirmishes. This one, on the other hand, boy, it kicks off. With the FF's guard down, Cyclops starts firing his power beam at Mr. Fantastic. This prompts the Human Torch to come to his defence. Whilst he and Cyclops try to outblast each other, the Thing, Alicia and Marvel Girl are in an adjacent room. She says she would like the Thing to come with them to investigate a nearby fake alien landing. But the Thing says, "Sorry chick." What? What's wrong with that? "I'm too busy admiring my statue." Man, I find him irritating. She tries to coax him along, carrot style, by levitating his statue away. But then it's too heavy for a silly little thing like her, and she drops it, smashing it. That's my girl. Typical 60s attitudes to women prevail here, so the Thing says, "Oh, maybe I'm wrong," because he says he won't hit her because she's female. Very progressive of you, Ben. And how did I know he was going to suggest giving her a spank? Was there really that much spanking of adult women going on in the 1960s? It feels like it. He doesn't get his hands on her anyway. Whilst she traps him in his very own telekinetic vortex, the Invisible Girl stumbles across them. The Angel sees that the game is up and grabs her. Oh please, of all the members of the X-Men who could take her on, it's him? No chance. Oh, it seems she hasn't yet discovered just how awesome her powers can be, as she just basically threatens him with her colleagues. On the other side of the wall, oh boy, this is what we paid the entrance fee for, especially seeing Reed as a beach ball. However, his plans to just roll the beast out of the way prove unsuccessful, and the pair tangle, quite literally, until the X-Man finds himself crashing into the Thing. Ben Grimm is happy to deal with him, but first he wants to stop Marvel Girl from escaping, and worryingly, it looks like he has her lined up in the classic spanking pose. It's actually Iceman who comes to her rescue, encasing various parts of the thing's body in ice. As Cyclops starts setting about doing as much damage to the FF's equipment as possible, Reed says that the only way to stop him and find out the X-Men's motive is to pretend to surrender and agree to go and see that crashed alien ship, something that the Thing is not happy with. I'm sure Sue isn't happy either, as she is stowed in a locker in the chopper as insurance. She does have superpowers, right? So the X-Men leave the scene with the frantic Fantastic Four, well, a couple of them frantic, Reed just kind of meh, following behind in the pogo plane. After the X-Men and their hostage land on a remote plateau, a new order comes through from the Prof. They must fight the X-Men again, and this time it's to the death. Oh, no, sorry, they just have to subdue them. High stakes indeed. And indeed, no sooner are Marvel's first family out of their plane than battle once again commences. It's pretty cool seeing the Thing pitting his brute force against Cyclops' optic beam, but an outright victory is denied us as he falls through an opening in the ground. Another booby trap catches hold of Reed and spins him on a loom. And after the Invisible Girl releases Marvel Girl from the force field she was holding her in an effort to save her love, both she and the Torch are also trapped, this time in asbestos-covered straitjackets, which actually sounds more sinister today than it did back in the 60s. Finally, rising behind the X-Men are the engineers of the whole charade, the Mad Thinker and the Puppet Master, along with a third entity. The next stage of the terrible trio's plan is to make Professor X use his incredible mind to render his team unconscious. However, trying to do this to 5 people at once is no mean feat, even for him, and the Beast manages to struggle free of his influence. And now the tide of battle begins to turn. First of all, the Beast knocks the Puppet Master's Professor X figure from his grasp and breaks both it and the hold it has over its subject. Then, once the Thing has hauled his rocky rump out of the pit he was in, he untangles Reed and tears Sue and Johnny from their non-health and safety compliant restraints. Now it is clear to the FF what has happened and just why the X-Men attacked them. The Puppet Master has been dealt with, but there is still the Mad Thinker and the small issue of his android to deal with. The X-Men can't do it alone, but with the help of the Fantastic Four, yeah, that might just work. And wow, look at that. A great, genuinely action-packed panel. The android takes on Iceman's snowy abilities and uses them to take the Human Torch out of the action. And Marvel Girl, who hasn't yet realised her full potential, can't quite topple the creature, not without the help of Cyclops anyway. But the android is strong. So strong that it breaks free of the Invisible Girl's force field and, tackled by the Thing, mimics Ben Grimm's power, although not his desire to spank his opponents, and overcomes him. Now, from a great distance, Professor X enters the fray, and using the power of writing, somehow uses his psychic powers to shut down the android. With the android out of action, our heroes regroup as the other 2 villains escape down a tunnel and away using an escape plane. Yeah, I know that sounds odd, but that's what they call it. The 2 teams are now solid friends, and the X-Men depart, leaving Reed to deliver a monologue that sounds like it was borrowed from the end of a He-Man cartoon. And Sue wonders, will they ever meet the X-Men again? Once or twice. So there you go, 2 of Marvel's greatest teams meeting for the very first time, courtesy of the Man and the King. Different times back then, of course, but that certainly was good fun.